Hello and welcome to Glitch Cube. We're a gaming podcast, and each week we take a deeper look into the art of video games. And for the 100th time, I am Christian.
And I'm Chris.
And thank you. Welcome back, everybody, to this exciting episode here. We are celebrating our 100th episode. Ooh, boy. And actually, this is not just the 100th episode. This is the 100th week straight. That's right. We have not missed a week with Glitch Cube, and that is a point of pride with us, and we absolutely are stoked on that. Now, for today's episode, what we're going to be doing is we have some questions gathered from the audience. Thank you, audience. We appreciate you so much for these lovely questions. We're going to be talking about some memories. We're just going to be having a nice little celebration discussion chat here. But oh my God, what a crazy thing. And first off, before we dive into any real questions or anything else, I just want to say, we did it, Chris. Like, holy shit.
It's crazy.
We actually kept this thing going for just about 2 years now. Like, we're creeping up. We're coming up on our second birthday, which is pretty nuts. And it's weird to think that we started this in 2020.
Mm-hmm.
God.
I almost feel like it was before 2020. Like, sometimes I sit there and I'm like, damn, we've been doing this before the pandemic. And I'm like, no, I remember we started in the pandemic now. Like, It feels so long ago. Like, I don't want to say 2020 feels far away because it really doesn't, but like 2019 feels like a decade ago.
Mm-hmm. A lot has definitely happened in these last couple of years. And I feel like we've been doing this for a lot longer than the couple of years because we talked about this for so long. Like, we probably started chatting about floating the idea out there of doing a podcast since 2019.
Mm-hmm.
And one of those things that kept happening for us, and I'm sure this happens to quite a few people out there, and if there's anyone who wants to start a podcast, take this to heart. It's okay to fail. It's okay to have not the greatest product out there. But what you need to do is just keep persevering, keep pushing through, and just keep trying to make your product better and better with each episode. And that's exactly what we did. Eventually, we got to the point where we said, fuck it. We're posting. We gave ourselves a hard date where it's like, no matter what, we're posting this first episode, and we're just going to make it happen. We're just going to put it out there, and any tweaks, changes, adjustments, we're going to do them on a week-by-week basis. And I feel like we have gone very, very far with our show over these last couple of years. Like, it has definitely changed quite a bit. And actually, I think that is a good little segue there to one of our first questions from our lovely friends, the Genre Geeks. And if you guys have not checked out their show, please do. We actually have an episode with them talking about Texas Chainsaw Massacre. That was a lot of fun. There's supposed to be a part 2, but due to some scheduling issues on both sides, we failed. But that's okay because, you know, it doesn't really matter. We're all gonna meet up eventually some other time. But one of the questions that they sent to us is, what has changed the most from episode 1 to 100? And I think that's such a great question, especially since, I don't know about you, but I always started listening back to some of our very early episodes these last couple of weeks in preparation of this. And, oh man, did things change.
Yeah.
Oh boy. Not just the audio quality. Like, first of all, audio quality. Let me talk about that real quick, that little spiel I have. So when we first started doing this podcast, I didn't know anything about audio. I didn't know how to edit it. I didn't know anything about microphones. None of that shit. None of it. And I just kept tinkering and plugging away until I found out how to actually make this thing work. And in that process, I went through 5 microphones that were actually recorded in episodes, but I actually went through 7 microphones in the back behind the scenes, and 2 of them never made it to the air, which is pretty funny. So in a couple of years, I went through 5 mics to finally find this one, which I actually feel fits my voice pretty well, and I'm very happy with this microphone. But yeah, that's one of the big things that I feel has changed. What do you feel has changed between episode 1 and 100?
Well, other than the audio quality,
and our professionalism, obviously.
It's definitely the way we carry ourselves, I think, in the conversation. In the beginning, you can kind of hear, like, I don't want to say our voice sounded weak, but we just sounded like, we're like a person just starting out, like I would say like the first 20 episodes, I was kind of like just quickly going through them. And I'm like, I'm trying to think of the word, not pride, but the passion, I guess. In the beginning, like I was passionate about it, but it wasn't until we reached certain episodes that I know we'll talk about in a little bit for other questions. That's when it really kicked in for me, and like in the beginning, it was just so new. Like I didn't really do anything like this before. Like I streamed a little bit on Twitch. So I kind of understood the whole, talking to like a screen in front of me, like just kind of the same thing. And I did some kind of like video stuff, but I never really had too much experience before that. So this was so weird for me, and my social anxiety on top of it. And I just don't like to talk. So like this thing, like I can see myself change throughout all these episodes. And I mean, it's crazy. I feel like, I don't want to say our topics got tighter either since the beginning, because we had some pretty tight topics in the beginning too. Yeah. It's interesting. Like deep down, I really think like the biggest thing that changes, well, really the audio. I mean, especially for me, I feel like my audio changed a lot, but
yeah.
Or it might just be your beautiful skills with the audio editing.
Thank you. I feel like it's we have a different confidence level now when we're talking on the mic, and after all these years, I feel like we really understand each other's thought process, right? Where we can hear each other's downtime, and we know when is the right time to cut in. And of course, there's moments where we talk over each other, but they're minimal. Right. Whereas before, I felt like we were waiting to know 100% that the other person was done with what they were saying before we jumped in. And in some of those early episodes, you can really hear us think, which I think is really funny, where like it's mid-sentence and it's like, and then like dead silence and then come back. And I feel like we've gotten a lot better with that. And actually, one of my big accomplishments I feel from episode 1 to 100 is that I was a mumbler and I was terrified at public speaking before doing this. Unlike you, I didn't do any like Twitch or anything like that, any video format, nothing to like really get my voice out there. The only thing I ever posted was art on occasion. And even then it was really like not frequent. It was very rare that I actually did. And now I don't mumble in public unless I'm really tired. And even my family has spoken about how well I can talk now, which I think is really funny and really weird, because I was that guy that would just everything I said, you wouldn't know. I was always under my breath, and I never fully opened my mouth to actually articulate the words that I wanted to say or felt strongly enough to have my message be delivered, or anyone gave a shit about what I was actually trying to say. And it felt like that Mitch Hedberg joke where like he was a perpetual mumbler as well. And he mentioned the fact that like, oh, he fucking hates mumbling and he wishes he can get over it, because every time he has a conversation with somebody on the street or somebody he's walking with, like they just keep saying like, what'd you say? And then you repeat it. They're like, wait, hang on, I didn't hear you. Say it again. And then eventually you end up saying like, man, that's a really fucking cool tree over there. Right? Like just really stupid stuff. So getting over that was a huge thing for me. And I mean, talking about social anxieties, I still have them, but I feel like I can put on my podcast persona for a moment. And not to say that this isn't the genuine me. This really is me. I'm not putting on an act when I'm on the show. But there's an exaggeration of confidence that I feel like I can bring out more now in my day-to-day life, which I feel has definitely benefited me greatly. I mean, hell, it got me a new job too. So we're going to hop into another question from John R. Geeks. Thank you again so much for these questions. And they did say, congrats, you guys. Thank you so much for the congratulations. We really appreciate all the support from everybody. But how has podcasting affected your real life? Now, I think this is a really interesting question because we have put a lot of time into the show. And we record on a weekly basis to make sure that the show comes out every Monday. And I feel like we've done a lot of crazy scheduling, and there's been some recordings in which it was like down to the wire last minute to make sure we actually made it on time. But besides that, I don't feel like it's really affected personal life too much, except for what I said about, the whole confidence issues and overcoming that. I guess that would be something really major to go with this question as well. But what about you? How has this changed your day-to-day life?
It's definitely made me more comfortable with talking, especially like over, like, say, virtual, like Zoom and stuff. I mean, I feel like Zoom wasn't really a thing before we did this podcast, at least not yet.
That's true.
But it made it a lot easier to talk through this. I'm weird. Okay, for me, the longest time growing up, I hated talking to people in real life. I felt like I couldn't keep a conversation, And then I don't know where it kind of came to me. I still will not approach somebody, but if someone talks to me, I'll talk their ear off, right? Mm-hmm. Well, then we come to virtual talking. And for some reason, I was like, now I feel like I'm bugging people online, just like how I did in real life. And doing this show, it kind of made it more comfortable for me to really just kind of talk. And I guess the confidence boost, like for me, it's just nice being able to converse with people that have the same interests. And I think for me in real life, that was hard for me to find because I went to a few game meetups and it was just a bunch of Overwatch players or, like Warzone players. And I'm like, man, I want to talk to people that like other kind of games, and this show is like either through listeners or people that just interact with our pages, like have been so cool and I love it. And I feel like, I don't know, I'm really glad I did this. Like for many different reasons, I feel like I've grown, but I think the confidence boost, like you were saying, like that's like the one thing that's really advanced the farthest for me. And I think the other thing is not missing a week, like holding myself to something like this for so long. I don't want to say it's an accomplishment because that sounds bad, but hey,
you got to celebrate your tiny victories.
Yeah. I mean, I don't give up on things pretty easily, but usually after a while I'll be like, okay, well, I won't take it as seriously. I'll focus on a new project. Like my brain thinks of so many projects, I'll start dumping my old ones. And for a while, I was afraid that was going to happen to this. Like when we started Gray, I was like, are we just going to kind of like put Glitch on the back burner? But I feel like it's almost the opposite. Like I feel like Glitch has always been very strong. It's been very forward and it's like motivated me in other ways in life. Like it has made me more serious about things I start. And like I have a few projects I'm working on right now. And I can honestly say ever since doing this show, it's helped me get through the tough times to the point where I'm like, I know I can do this. If I've been able to, help out with a show for almost 2 years, like I can easily handle this project. And it feels good. Like I never really thought I'd be thinking about how it really helps like that, but it really does. But what about you?
Well, I would say that there's a couple big things that we didn't mention yet, and I know you have one really huge thing that's happened and changed since episode 1 and 100. for me, it's small in comparison to what you have going on right now. But I have a new job
going on.
Right. Yeah. I have a new job now, and a job that I absolutely love. And we started a whole nother show. Like you mentioned, we started the Murder of Grey podcast as well. And at first I thought Glitch was daunting, and I thought we were crazy to even, think that we can do a second show on top of this one. But it's just been so much fun doing both of these shows and starting, like, really, really starting the Cubeverse, something that we've been talking about for so long. And now we have 2 shows under our belt. Like, it's kind of amazing. But you have a new addition to your family, man. Like, that's a huge change right there. We got baby now. Like, that's awesome. And that's a huge, huge change right there.
Yeah, it's a lot. That was another thing too. I was like, oh man, like once this baby comes in, I won't really have time to, focus on any of this. But it's not daunting yet. Maybe when she gets older, it might be a little bit more of a struggle, but it's not that hard. Like being able to carve time to work on these projects with the baby, it's not that bad. It's not as scary. It's not as easy as before, where, I'd just be like, oh, well, I'm just going to read about this game for 12 hours or watch videos, and get some research done. So, it has been a little bit of a struggle in that avenue, but yeah, it's crazy. Just in the span of all this time, like that's happened. And there's like even more issues I haven't talked about yet because it just kind of popped up. But there might be the awful chance of having to move, but hopefully that's not soon. But you know what? The show will go on, and I feel like if I can handle working on this with a baby, I got this. It's easy,
Yeah, we will definitely make this work and continue on because we don't have plans on slowing down. We actually have plans on ramping up in the future and going even crazier. So just be on the lookout for that. We're doing better with social media. We suck, but we're definitely we're getting better at it, and we have a lot of huge things that we want to bring to you guys. Even more stuff, which means more work for us. Yeah, but if you love what you do, then it's just fun. And that's one of the things. Like, this podcast has never stopped being fun for me. This has just been a blast all the way through. It's never felt like a chore. It's never felt like, oh shit, I have to do this tonight. It's always felt good. It's nice. It's like free therapy, right? Like, you get to focus on something you love for a whole week and then talk about it. It's nice. I love it. So before we start diving into some more of our listener questions, I wanted to go over some favorite episodes because I think that would be a fun thing to do right now. And actually, one of my first favorite episodes that I really want to bring up was one of the episodes that we recorded the earliest, but came out probably almost one of the latest. Like it really didn't come out until recently. And that is The Great Debate. Gameplay versus story. We actually recorded that I think that was our first recording. It was either our first or second recording. It was very, very early on. And like we lost that recording. It was just gone. I couldn't salvage it at all. It was crap. It was during the time when we were recording both of our tracks over each other. So any editing was just no thank you, not going to happen. So it completely died on us. And it was always one of those episodes that kind of lived in the back of our minds. Like, we really need to get back and do that one. But we felt like we did it already. So why are we going to do it again? And we finally just, said, screw it, we're going to do it. And it came out in episode 71 instead of being episode 2 like it was supposed to be. And it was great. I really enjoyed it. I feel like it was a much better time for it because our pacing was much different. And we understood how to properly engage in an argument as a discussion instead of like during the first rendition of it, it was pretty rough. I had like a chocobo timer that would go off every 5 minutes to, move on to the next thing. Yeah, it was really bad. I remember the first time like you heard, because I played the timer in the microphone, and as soon as it went off the first time, you're like, what the fuck was that? And I was like, oh, that's your timer running out, because I didn't tell you beforehand that I did that. And it was bad. It was just a mess all the way around. We set 5-minute timers, and we didn't know how to pace ourselves. So it was a lot of 1 minute of rushing through speech and trying to get to our point, and then 4 minutes of just kind of rambling and repeating what we said before that, which is one of the big things that we have strived to not do. And we understand if you need to cut an episode early so that you don't keep repeating yourself, we just do it, which is nice. I think that's one of the big things that we've learned. And like, I don't know, there's something good about the fact that we waited to redo it, I think. And I think it gave it a much better, much better light than what it would have. Because I feel like that episode would have just got lost in time, especially with what was coming out around it. It wouldn't last anymore.
When we first recorded it, I felt like maybe we didn't know how to really like handle our sides as well. And I remember that episode, and I remember thinking afterwards like, that was okay, kind of glad it's over with, and then when you told me like, oh man, this didn't work out, I was kind of sitting there like, maybe it happened for a reason, maybe one day we'll go back to it. And then I mean, after a while I totally forgot about it until you brought it up, and like you're like, oh, let's redo this episode, and I was like, okay, I feel more confident in it now. Like it's interesting, because I remember that was like the second episode, and like from going from like the depression episode to like having a debate, it was like, whoa, like this is kind of weird and kind of different, because it's not like we're like yelling with anger at each other over our debate topics, but like it was so weird that I'm really glad we redid it, because I felt like we did it at the best time we could.
Right. Yeah. And during that time we were already recording Gray, so I felt like we had a different kind of mindset, because Gray is such a different show. With moral ethical dilemmas, I feel like that whole show is a constant debate, and it's nice to have that in our back burner. Like I think we were about 25 episodes in at that point when we finally revisited this, so we had a lot of experience going into it. At that point we actually were 100 episodes deep across both shows, so like we had that rapport with each other, and knowing how to actually articulate our responses, to put forth interesting arguments, but still make it feel like a discussion rather than just a back and forth, which I think was the big issue from the original one. So let's hop into another fan question. Thank you so much from the Glass Studios. They asked us, what is your favorite memory from recording? Why don't you start off with that one? What do you think? What is your favorite memory from recording?
Is it cool if I say something from the Gray?
Yeah, I mean, just as recording, and that's part of our whole thing, so yeah.
I think it's also because it is the first episode of the Gray. And how we just kind of like, we asked these really like dark questions, and we just kind of were goofing around, having a fun time. And to me, it really sticks out, because it's like, we were doing so many different things with Glitch that jumping into a whole new podcast, it was like I don't want to say a breath of fresh air, but it was just fun being kind of goofy over such dark undertones, that the reason why I hold that episode so like dear to me is that I felt kind of like what you were just talking about. It changed my perspective for the rest of Glitch Cube. Because in the beginning I was like, oh, I want to keep things kind of serious, so I just want to like stick to the facts. And then after that, I don't know. Like it's definitely,
it reminded us that we can still be human.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it.
We don't have to just have outlines and facts and statistics in front of us and spout out dates and things like that. Because 9 times out of 10, the people who are listening, I know this happens with me too when I'm listening to other gaming podcasts. Those dates and things like that kind of just go away. They wash over me. Where it's like, that's nice, right? Like it's in there. Like I absorb that knowledge, and it's really nice to hear because it makes you sound more credible with whatever you're saying. But at the same time, it doesn't sound like a conversation anymore. And I feel like that's probably one of the most important things to have in a podcast is to make it feel like the listener is in the room with you. They need to be there like a fly on the wall and feel like they're actually sitting at the table with you having a discussion. So giving you that, or making it so that you have that like human element to the way you talk. And I feel like The Gray really brought that back for us, was that we can be fallible. We can just kind of be goofy for a moment and let off some steam with The Gray and then come back to Glitch and really have those hard-hitting moments, and then also come back with like something goofy and lighthearted as you naturally would in a conversation. So I think that's a really important aspect to, The Gray and what it was able to contribute to Glitch Cube.
I was thinking about some Glitch, like my favorite moment, and granted this was a whole episode was a favorite moment, but when we did the Quiet Year.
That was so much fun.
It was funny because when you first introduced it to me, you're like, oh, it's tabletop car, and I'm thinking to myself, I don't know if I really want to introduce like playing like something like that on this show, just because it'd be so like left field. But once we did it, I was like, this is so cool because it's like, world building. It's so interesting, but it's not like statistically daunting where we're throwing too much stats at you in the world. Like we're just like, we're painting a picture for you. Here's an actual image of the map. Boom. Like here's how we're building our world. And I loved it. Like it was so much fun. Like at first I was like, oh God, this is going to be such a long like series. It's going to go on forever. And the episodes were long, but it's like, I really loved every minute of it. Like it felt cool being creative. And I could say the same things for like the Make a Game episodes. Like those are like my favorite parts, I would say. Like
they're so much fun. Being
creative, like on the fly, basically. Like it's fun being put on the spot to think of something and try and make it work. Like that to me is like my favorite like times or parts of the show.
Those are so much fun because it allows us to be improvers for a moment. And it's so crazy. So like with the We Make a Game series, just so everybody knows, we don't vet anything beforehand. None of that stuff is vetted at all. It's all legit right then and there in the recording. And for the last couple We Make a Games, there was no editing to those episodes. And actually, there's a lot of episodes that we do now that don't have editing to them. And I think that kind of leads into my favorite moment in all of our recordings was that I don't remember what episode it was, and I really wish I did, but it was the very first time when we were talking and we were getting kind of close to ending the episode, but it was still kind of creeping up. Like we usually try and hit the 45-minute marker, and we were floating around like 38. And without having to say anything, without having to take a break and then cut that out later, we just free flowed right into the ending, and it was just perfectly, it felt natural, felt right. And at the end of the recording, once we hit stop, both of us were like, man, that was good. Right? Like it just felt good to just know on both sides without actually having to be in the same room with each other. No visual cues telling us that, hey, I think this might be a good time to end it. We just both naturally knew like this is a good point. And after we both acknowledged that, it started happening more and more in the episodes. And I love that. I love that like synergy that we had there, and we still have it. It's really cool to see, in my opinion, because it does make editing a lot easier. The fact that we're able to just go into these things. I think there's only been, like, in the early episodes, probably the first 20, there was a shit ton of cuts.
Oh, yeah.
There was so much dead air that I had to cut. It was kind of insane. And now there's very rarely any time that I have to cut. It might be like 2 or 3 seconds, or like an airplane noise, right? Or one of us has to run away real quick to, go walk, take care of the dog, go use the bathroom, or whatever it may be. But those are really the only cuts from the recording. So what you're hearing on probably 90% of the episodes is right from when we hit record to right when we hit stop. Nonstop, here you go. This is the episode, 40 to 45 minutes of the conversation. And the fact that we're able to, I feel, properly convey our message within that time frame in a very like understandable and like flowing way, I think is really fun and impressive. And I think that's my big favorite thing from these episodes, or from recording in general.
Yeah, those long stretches of dead air, like, kind of painful to listen to now. But at the same time, it's kind of like, for me, I almost like when a podcast doesn't have too much editing. Like, This is really weird, but sometimes when people are talking, and I hear this in other podcasts too, and it's like, just randomly they'll kind of like clear their throat, but it's like, like that, like in a way where it's like, it kind of stands out, but it adds kind of like a human side to it, like as if like you're actually there talking to them. Like I've listened to some shows or on YouTube, people just heavily edit, or it'll just cut that whole out, or any kind of silence just gets cut straight to the next like sentence. And I like that little like breath of air before the next like sound bit. Like it's weird. And I love how nowadays it's just like we can really feed that silence without having to like either fill it in or we pick up on each other. Like, it's nice.
Right. Well, that's the whole reason why we have commas and periods in the written language. You need those pauses and breaks.
Yeah.
It's not just for, for aesthetic reasons or proper grammar.
You sure?
Well, I guess it can.
They do look nice.
They do look nice. I do like those little curvy lines. That's super cool. But but they allow you to take a break and absorb in the information. So knowing when to take a break, when to pause for dramatic effect, right? Like it does help. And I feel like that's something that we've definitely gotten better at. And that kind of leads me into the episode that I feel really pushed us in that direction, and really, or at least for me, like I felt like that is where I learned how to tell a story. And I learned how to tell a story, in my opinion, pretty well. I really enjoyed this episode. And that was episode 46, the Tamagotchi episode. I love that episode so much. And I feel like we were able to tell the whole history in a very compelling way, and make it where it wasn't just us spouting like, oh, and this year the Tamagotchi came out and it was made of plastic and it had 4 screws. It took 1 battery. Like it wasn't just boring shit that like nobody cares about. Like we were able to weave the history about the Tamagotchi, about the creator, what, troubles she went through and how she didn't get recognition for it. And then the whole backstory behind Tamagotchis. That's right. There's a backstory to Tamagotchis. And if you want to hear it, it's on episode 46. Go check it out. It's a really fun one. But that allowed us to learn how to pace ourselves and how to weave history into a story-like format. And I think that one really set a pace for us, in my opinion, at least, because it shows through whenever we start doing other like deep dives into specific games or specific companies, right? Like we were able to then weave their stories or weave their history in a story-like manner, which I find much more interesting and easier to listen to for everybody. Even if you're a non-gamer, people will enjoy that.
The Tamagotchi episode was special. I remember how excited you were on researching that episode. And it was...
I did a lot of research.
Yeah, I was like, when we thought of the topic, I was like, this is interesting. Like, I'm curious to see what you have planned for it, because it was all your idea. Like it was interesting seeing like, okay, like I never knew anything about it, so I was really curious about it, and just the amount of like detail you went into that episode, I was like, damn, like that was good. Like it was interesting, and I loved learning about it because it was like something so different. Like I don't know, that the amount of work you put into researching an episode kind of like inspired me to like really dive into the research on like some of the other topics we've had. And it's just, damn, that was a good episode.
It was a lot of fun. And what's funny, when I originally pitched that episode, I knew nothing about Tamagotchi. I played it. That's about it. I didn't know there was that rich of a history behind it. And I think that got me excited about these things, where even the most mundane topic can be very interesting if you do enough research, or you know how to weave this story properly. And I think that also really helped out with the gray. Sometimes we deal with topics that are a little light on the information, but you have to fill that time. You have to make it interesting. You have to make it compelling. So how do you do that? You use your storytelling tools. And I think Tamagotchi episode really gave us those tools and the confidence to be able to deliver episodes like that on very specific topics, where we're not afraid to just dive into one thing, right? And because before we were talking, anytime we brought up a topic, we're like, okay, well, we need 3 to 5 games to fill up the time so that we make sure that we, it's not too short in an episode or whatever it may be. But now we'll just say like, okay, we're only talking about this. Like, we got one thing. Here we go, 40 minutes. Let's go, right? And we're able to actually do that now. And I feel that is due to the Tamagotchi episode. Definitely.
Yeah, if you look back at the episodes before it, like I was just looking at, you can definitely see how the episodes are more open-ended, versus that where it's very like narrow and you can really hone in on it. And that was something I always was interested in with episodes, because sometimes I'll listen to shows or watch a video and it gets too broad. Like if someone's telling me like, here is the history on Mario. Well, that's a horrible idea because it's so big. But, something small. Okay, here's the history of Tom and Jerry. Like we're going to think like, okay, like I want to know like how it started, what it was like when it was big, and how it ended, But then some people get into it where they have to like, well, here's these other cartoons that was all this. And I'm like, no, I want it like straight to the fact, and I feel like from that episode, if you look at a lot of the ones after, like, yeah, we did focus on more tight topics, to put it briefly.
Yeah. I think that is a perfect little segue into our little mini series that we started to do. And I feel like they started actually with Pride. Pride was one of the first times in which we decided to do like multiple episodes pertaining to a specific topic. And I think that really like fed into our game mechanics series, our elements series, our games from around the world series. Like it allowed us to think about things in a broader scope, but still find ways to zero in on something specific, which was, really interesting in my opinion. And like, I think it all started with social xenophobia. And kind of diving into that topic. Of course, we can go back to episode 2, which is, without episode 2, we wouldn't be here. That one really set the pace for us. That's the depression episode. Technically it's episode 1. Episode 1 is just us explaining what Glitch Cube is and kind of like that thing. That's how we did it. But the very first real episode we put out was on depression. And I feel like that really set a tone for us, in which social xenophobia came from that. And that episode, I feel like, was such a strong one for us, because it was one of the first times that we dug into just an idea, and it wasn't even a gaming idea. Like, we were able to pull something from non-gaming culture and relate it back to gaming in a very interesting manner. And I think that was huge. And that was all thanks to us kind of branching out into Pride. And that led to having our first guest on the show, actually, which was Freya Love. Freya Love is an amazing human being who was on the Queens of Adventure podcast. And if anybody likes D&D podcasts or actual play podcasts, the Queens of Adventure is great. It's no longer being recorded, I believe. I think that they did Legends for a little bit, but it's Dungeons and Dragons and drag queens. I mean, how can you go wrong? It's super funny. It's a bunch of drag queens that didn't know how to play D&D beforehand, playing D&D in a very grand adventure. And you can just imagine the crazy things that they get into. But having Freya on the show was a lot of fun. And we actually had her on Gray as well, which was a blast. And just kind of having her, go across both of our shows that way. And definitely do want to ask her to come back again, because I know a lot of things have changed in her life. So Freya, thank you so much for, being a part of the show and being on it with us and taking time out of your days to join us and have a little conversation. Really appreciate that. But yeah, I do want to talk a little bit about the series episodes. I mean, I guess you can say that We Make a Games are a part of like a little mini series that we have, but it's ongoing. But like the big one, I think for us, was the game mechanic series. Like that was a lot of fun, and we had a lot of positive response from the listeners as well with those episodes. And talk about like diving into one specific topic. Like we dove in hard for those guys. And it was a lot of fun. And actually, it led to us opening up the website and starting to write blog posts about some of those episodes. Definitely have to get back into that, because that was a lot of fun doing it after recording them. But it just kind of showed more of our research abilities. The fact that we can dive into a singular topic, something really simple as, like death in a video game, and make it a topic that you can talk about for 40 plus minutes and keep it interesting that whole time. So that was a lot of fun. And I really enjoy whenever we dive into series.
Yeah, it's interesting looking back and like how Pride was kind of the start of it all. And then it was the social xenophobia right after. And it's like, after those 2 episodes, I was like, I think that's when I found my groove. I guess you could say, like, it just felt, I don't know, it clicked, like the puzzle piece went into the right spot. Boom. Like it's on. And looking at it, like that was episode 35, and then you go through the next one. So like after that, game culture, and then it goes straight into the game mechanics. And it's like, it was just strong, like it slapped, like there was an episode, a banger after a banger, I guess you could say. And that really, like, I don't know, made me happy, like doing these series, it feels like we're doing a lot of research, but at the same time, it's like when it's cut down to one episode, it doesn't feel daunting. And when we like kind of first started this, something I always had in my mind was like, oh, I want to do like deep dives on like publishers and developer houses and stuff like that. And I always sat there and thought, damn, that'd be a lot to like sit down and do a lot of research on. And I just was like, yeah, that'd be too much for an episode. And then we started doing these deep dives into mechanics and even games sometimes. And I'm like, damn, we should go back and do that. Because it's like, I really like how we get our information in. And it's been a lot of fun doing that. Like, I have ideas for the future of some other game series that we have not discussed yet. So I'm actually really, I don't know, I'm really excited to see where that goes. Because I got some very left field ideas.
Yeah, our deep dive episodes are a lot of fun. And if you think about it, over the span of 100 episodes, we've only done 4 deep dive games.
Yeah.
Where we specifically talked about the games in general. And that was Disco Elysium, Legend of Dragoon, Citizen Sleeper, and Eastward, which are all fucking fantastic games. Like, it's been a lot of fun. And who knows, like, we might have another one coming up here pretty soon, because I know we've both been playing a lot of games lately. And I feel like I'm going through like a gaming renaissance, which is a lot of fun. So I'm pretty excited to see what comes out from the next deep dive, and how we can take the tools and lessons that we've learned throughout these episodes and bring them into those and see how we can make them just that much better, which I think would be awesome. All right, so we got a couple more questions here from listeners. So from Says the Machine, who is actually so crazy. So this guy, he found me through Glitch Cube, and he was a good friend of mine from when I lived in San Diego originally, and when I was like between the ages of like 5 and 9.
Damn.
And we haven't talked to each other since I left when I was 9 years old. And he just found me again, so it's super cool. But he's got a couple questions for us. So, hey, Michael, thank you so much for being a fan. Love you. So, what is your go-to game for peaceful time pass? Do you have a go-to game where you just kind of want to pass the time real quick? Because I have one, and I think it's kind of a dumb one. But I don't know. I guess I have two. Like one in which I just kind of have like, oh, I got like 5 minutes to kill. Let me just, chill out and play this real quick. That's Pokemon Go. Like I keep it on my phone at all times just to see what's around me real quick. But one game that I consistently go back to just for nostalgia, for feels, to see what else I can get from it in the different point in my life, that's Shadow of the Colossus. That's definitely a game that I continue to come back to. And every time I do, I'm happy I did, because it feels like a different game every time I play it because of where I am in my life at that moment. And it kind of reminds me of that, what's that movie with Adam Sandler, Reign Over Me? Where he just keeps playing that game over and over again. But every time he does, like it's like he sees it differently. Like, I don't know. Like there's something to that. And I think it's an amazing title for that. But what about you?
I have really two, depending on the timelines. I would say recently, Vampire Survivors has been my go-to relaxation. I know it's not really a game you would think of relaxing because the screen gets so cluttered. But just being able to, like, just put your finger on the arrow keys and just walk. That's all you have to do, like, or you're with a controller, you just have the stick. Like, you can use one hand, right? So it's just, if I don't know what I want to play, don't know what I want to do, I'll just boot it up, start it, let my character walk around, and that's when I'm like, okay, I'm chilling now. I'm going to put something on, my other screen. I'm going to relax. Like, it's weirdly relaxing to me because I'm not, like, sitting there like, oh my God, I need to cut through this. Like, I'm, it's weirdly cathartic to me. But as a game that I always used to go back to just kind of unwind and relax. Damn, there's been a lot. I would say probably Minecraft, actually. I know it sounds very typical for a lot of people, but
no, I thought about saying that too. Yeah.
It's always been something like, oh, I can play it with my wife, I can play it with my friends. Like, it's just relaxing, like it's something that I always have installed. It's always ready to go. I don't need mods to have fun with it. It's just, you put on that music, you hear that piano hit, and you're like, I'm in another world. It's just, it's nice.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, there's other games I can think about, but I don't even have those consoles hooked up. So I'm like, I don't play them for relaxation anymore, which is a bummer. But yeah.
Minecraft is definitely a special game. I mean, I play that game on a daily basis now because of work, which I think is really funny. I barely played it before, but now I'm playing it every single day for a couple hours at least, because I'm building all these crazy things for the kids to explore and play in. And I think that's what's making it really special for me, is seeing the kids react to the things that I build for them. And it's always been like, oh my God, so cool. Like they're excited, and it's great because I have a bunch of 6 to 12-year-olds playing Minecraft in a server that I made, and with all these creations that I get to come up with. And it's just been a lot of fun doing that.
Yeah, I'll see you on the Xbox, and I'm like, should I bug him? And then I'm like, oh, he's probably at work.
Hey, you should hop in and help me out, because that shit takes forever to make.
Sure.
That'll be fun. All right, so another question from Says the Machine is, in your opinion, who is the best non-protagonist Final Fantasy character and why? I love this question, even though my mind only goes to Final Fantasy 9 for some reason.
Yeah, same. I'm like,
because I have 3 from 9 now.
Oh God, I like, for me, I'm like, 9 just seems like the easiest to pick, because I feel like the non-protagonist characters in 8 were kind of whatever. They didn't have character. 10, I mean, Lulu was hot, but that's about it. And then you got 7.
I mean, you have Biggs and Wedge, I guess.
Yeah, but I mean, okay, mine in 9, definitely Freya. Like, it took me a minute to think about it, because I'm like, there's a bunch of characters in there that I could think of, like the obvious choice, Vivi, or Vivi. But it with Freya's character, I was pretty young when I played 9. I played it when it came out, and that character was just so dark. Like, their storyline is just depressing. And I remember as a kid, like, weirdly getting affected by the storyline for that character. And I mean, I played dark stuff before that game when I was younger, but that character, for some reason, really, like, it hit me. And I was like, damn, like, this character has a lot of depth. Even though, like, I feel like looking at it now as I'm older, like, I feel like there's not a whole lot of character development compared to, like, what we see nowadays with that kind of stuff. But that character was just special to me. And it's weird because I never really used, I guess it's like a Dragoon class in Final Fantasy. I never used that kind of character before, but she was always in my party, like, most of the game that I could. And to this day, I would still say, like, yeah, like, her character is just so interesting, which, I don't know. It to me, it just feels like something so left field. Like, I would pick a lot of other choices, but that memory of her, like, being by the gravestone, I'm like, damn, like, it still hits,
Yeah.
What about you?
As far as, like, characters that you can play as that I would consider non-protagonist, Vivi, of course. I love Vivi. I mean, everybody does, but give me a short character and I'll probably fall in love with them. And, like, their story is just so dramatic as well. I mean, everyone's story in Final Fantasy IX is very dramatic.
Yeah.
But I think that playing that game, whenever I did, it was during that, like, kind of weird time in your life where you don't really know where you fit in. And I feel like Vivi's storyline just really stuck with me so much that I absolutely loved it. But as far as non-playable characters, I'm kind of torn between two of them right now, and obviously both from 9. But it's Blank or Beatrix. And I love those characters so much. I think Blank has such a great story, even though it's so short. Like, he's the one that gets caught in stone in the forest in the beginning. But, like, you can, like, I love the way that they set up the story. Yeah, get please 420. No, but I just love the brotherly, like, companionship between him and Zidane in the beginning. And they really did a great job of developing that story in such a short amount of time to show how tight they were as a group of buddies. And then he gets turned to stone very early on in the game. Spoiler alert, I guess, for a game that came out so long ago. But it was such a heart-wrenching moment seeing that. And this was, like, that cutscene was fucking gorgeous when I first watched it. I love the CGI in that game. And it just hit me so hard watching him reach out and throw the scroll at Zidane and seeing Zidane catch it while he's running full speed, and all the crazy, like, plant bugs are, like, crawling through and the whole thing's fucking shaking, and he's just caught real quick and slowly dude, such an amazing, amazing moment. But then you get a character like Beatrix, who's just a total badass. Like, talk about Kill Bill vibes with the eye patch and everything like that. And no matter what you do, it's one of those bosses that even when you beat her, you don't beat her, right? Like, it just shows how powerful she is, where she's like, you know what? I'm good. I'm just going to keep going now. But she has such a big heart the whole time, where she really does feel for Garnet and really wants to be by her side and protect her, and doesn't believe what the queen is saying, but has her own way of accomplishing her goals. And I love that aspect, where it's not just a blind general leading the blind, right? Being led by a crazy person and just doing things because, like, they have an ulterior motive and their own agenda. And I love that aspect, those little, like, hidden story tropes in that game. I mean, Final Fantasy IX is just a freaking fantastic title all the way through. All those characters are fantastic, but those two really, really stuck out to me. And I mean, of course, can't forget Rat Kid. You know, he's great. He's such a little shitty character. But yeah, I would say those guys are definitely my standouts for this Final Fantasy series. And I would like to say thank you so much for everybody that did, send in some questions for us. We really, really appreciate it. I want to say thank you so much for everyone that supports us, that has given us love over these years, because it's all because of you guys that we keep doing this, and that we feel that energy, that drive to want to keep recording more and more and give you guys more and more content. I mean, we haven't received a dime the entire time that we've been doing both these shows, and that's fine. It's been fun throughout, and even though this is like a part-time job, and it's still fun. That's the best part about this. It's still fun, and I'm really excited to see what happens in the future. And I want to say thank you guys so much for joining us in this 100th episode celebration. This has been a great 100 episodes, and I just gotta say cheers to 100 more. And I'm gonna be stoked to keep recording with you, Chris. And this has been so much fun. And once again, truly, truly, thank you so much for tagging along in this crazy adventure and just, being a part of this process, because it's been a blast, and I can't imagine doing this show with anybody else.
Oh,
thank you. Thank you so much, and really do appreciate it.
I feel the same way. I have no plans on wanting to leave. I just want to keep doing this. I don't know, forever. It's. Yep. I'm real happy with it. I feel like a lot of people, when a show goes this long, they get kind of lost in what they want to do. But here I am thinking of 10 new ideas that I want for future episodes, and it's easy doing this with you because you're not combative with ideas and stuff. Some people I know, when I used to talk to them about subjects, they would be no, they just wouldn't work with it. But it's I don't know, I love the time we put into this, and I thank you for going on this journey with me. It's cool. It's been a lot of fun, and I'm really excited for the future, because there's just, now that we've been doing this so long, I feel like so many things are a lot clearer, and I feel like they're achievable, and I'm excited. I'm so stoked for what's coming.
It's going to be a blast, and it's going to be a crazy ride. But with that, I think that's going to do it for us this week. Thank you so much to everybody, and thank you for allowing us to reach this milestone. But with that, that's going to do it for us, and we will talk to you guys next week with some more games. And until then, goodbye for now.